Hey, I'm Daniel, and you found my podcast, The Filmcraziest Show, on YouTube. For this conversation, I was able to speak with Derek Presley, the writer and director of the new film Redstone, which is the story of a hitman named Boon, played by Neal McDonaugh, who is tasked with chasing down a young teen who witnessed the murder of his older brother at the hands of a southern crime lord, played by Michael Cudlitz. The film is available this coming Friday, December 3rd, playing in select theaters, as well as on premium video on demand and digital formats. Let's get right into the conversation with Derek. Hey, Derek, how's it going?
I'm fine. How are you doing, sir?
Good. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Now, to start, I'd love to ask, you filmed in a town or city called Corsicana, Texas, which I
Mhm.
think is about an hour 15 outside of your hometown of Fort Worth. So what's it like filming there?
It was great. It was really good. It's funny about Corsicana is it's kind of this mecca for little indie films that have been shooting there. The chief of police, his name's Robert Johnson. He's one of our producers, and so he's the unofficial film commissioner.
Oh,
So
nice.
when you get there, Robert's really good at taking you around, knowing every single area to film, having people that will, you know, not be put out of their home for you, but they will open up they'll bend over backwards for you to film there. And they're just really good people there. And so they make the shoot a lot easier for filmmakers on a budget, and
Okay.
it was pretty fun. Like I said, small little town, and you wouldn't think of it. You wouldn't think that way, but they've done some other films there. I know they've had some actors come through there. Bruce Dern was in some films there, and I think David Spade did a film there, and
Oh,
people you
yeah.
wouldn't expect. But yeah, it was fun. It was a pleasure.
Was that your first film there?
But yeah, that was my first film there. Yeah, so that was the first
Okay.
one I've ever done there. Because it was supposed, originally it was set in Fort Worth. Well, it wasn't in the script. It wasn't set anywhere. It was just I found some older parts of the town that had a lot of character to it, and COVID hit, and we had to take it to some place. It was a much smaller town, and so Corsicana was great because they only had, I think, 9 people in the county had COVID at the time. So we were really lucky to film. Fort Worth had like 18,000 people or something like that.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So then,
Necessity. Okay.
yeah, it was good.
All right, great. Now, building a world like the one you build in Redstone, what goes into creating a little crime syndicate like that?
Um, for me, it was, it was stuff that I grew up watching. And some people have been saying it's a modern Western, and it really isn't as much a modern Western. It is more of a pulpy crime thriller, just set in the South. So this one was inspired more by, um, I don't want to say Scorsese or Tarantino but it's more of that than it is, say, Clint Eastwood Western, which some people have kind of said that's what it's like. So
Okay.
those, it was with that, and the idea that Jed Haywood, who Michael Cudlitz plays, has his own. He's branched off from the so-called, I would say, the Southern Dixie Mafia, the really bad crowd. He's branched off. He does his own thing, and he'll work with anybody. He's not, beholden to race or anything like sometimes they are. So that was really it. Another one was a big film that was a big inspiration that my producer Jason Starn turned me on to of all these years. I'd never seen it, At Close Range with Christopher Walken and Sean Penn, an 80s
Okay.
film. And it was like Christopher Walken plays a kingpin of a Southern kind of crime syndicate, and they steal tractors and things like that. And so we thought it'd be pretty fun to have set that in our hometown and write what and I do. I was born and raised around towns, like different towns, Coleman, Texas, Waco, Texas, things like that have. I wouldn't say that I've necessarily I probably haven't run into a gangster, but I ran into some pretty surly characters that are not exactly nice.
Okay. Any surly characters that inspired these characters?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
a couple different people that I've met. Not really the main, not Boone, not Neal McDonaugh, but Hutch, which is played by Billy Blair,
Okay.
and Michael himself, Michael Cudlitz. There's a gentleman. It was a real character. It was just a real person that I do not know, but that he was inspired by somebody in Mississippi that ran with that crowd. And so we
Okay.
kind of drew on some tattoos, things that probably won't pop up in the movie, but things that was really good for him to have. So
Okay. we don't have to talk about that anymore because I don't want them coming after you, you know?
Yeah, I'll be like over my shoulder. No.
Now, I noticed that Billy Blair's character, he wears like a bolo tie throughout the film. So is that just always the one bolo tie, or did he have a couple in his arsenal?
No, that's the only one. It takes place in one day, so that's it. He only has one bullet. And funny little story about that was that I go through and I do my wardrobe myself before, months before. It's because you're bored, you're raising money, and you got nothing to do. So I'm like, I'm just gonna figure out my color schemes, and I thought of that scheme: yellow shirt with pattern and a bear bolo tie, red bear claw bolo tie. And the idea was that red's in every shot. There's even a little bit of a red hint to the whole film that we did in camera. And I thought, there's no way I'm going to find this bolo bear claw tie that I found. And sure enough, our costume designer, Stacy Lee, she's a huge wardrobe, just everything you think of. She goes, I got one of those. I was like,
Yeah.
you're kidding me. And she had the belt buckles and she had everything. So I was like, well, it was good, but it also made me realize, well, man, it's not very original, is it? It's like somebody else has our stuff. Damn. But no, it was great. It was good. And that was kind of to fit his character. He's this evil guy who has this kind of a little cartoonish quality to him, over the top. He doesn't care about what he wears because he'll kill you if you look at him twice. So
Okay. And now talking about the character of Hutch and Boone, I found that Hutch never asks questions, he just shoots. And then Boone is having this morality dilemma. Can you just talk about exploring that dynamic between the two enforcers?
yeah. I mean, with Hutch is pretty much, I would say, the only one in the movie that I didn't really apply when writing his character. We didn't really apply that, where a lot of people have said, a lot of characters, even bad guys, it's just good writing to have some sort of sympathy for them, or have something. Hutch is not. There's nothing there. He's just pure evil. Michael Cudlitz is a bad dude, but he's got his grand show and he's got his wanting to get out of it. And Boone is going through a horrible time because he's taken lives his whole life, and then a very realistic tragedy happens to his brother and his brother's family, and it kind of stops him. And we don't really go through that. That's not what the movie's really about. That's just in the background. It's really about Dash's character losing his brother. But they do go on these parallel journey. It's two people who lost their brother, and they kind of come to a boiling point at the end. And that's really what it was about. Hutch was just pure. He was just fun. It was like, be as sadistic as you can, and Billy Blair's amazing at that. So he did really good.
Okay.
And Neal had to bring that kind of quality that he could go either way, but you kind of know that he's going to be a good guy.
Okay. And staying on that topic in a way, I thought the way you shot the violence in the film was very interesting, just in the way that it's kind of like pea shooters with Cudlitz's character and McDonough's character. And it's kind of like when the brother gets shot in the head, it's kind of like a maple tap almost, right?
Yeah.
And it's not a lot of gore. So like with characters that are that professional, it's kind of to the point, it's realistic, and it's almost clean in a way, except for the gore. But with character like Hutch, he uses the guns that make a mess. He uses the guns that are like, he doesn't care. So can you talk about that contrast?
Yeah, well, I mean, you nailed it pretty much right there. We took a lot of time. Andy and Emma, Andy Airdsmith and Emma, they did the special effects, and we were very. I told them, I said we wanted it to be realistic. The gore, the sound of the gun, all of that, all of those things with the little. And I can't remember the model of the gun Cudlitz uses, but that was all done very much. I don't want to say there was discussions, but beforehand there was, or not discussions, but I don't want to say there was arguments, but we were like, well, he's going to blow his head off. But no, everybody was very understanding that this needs to be more visceral, and it needs to be that image. For me, I was putting myself in Dash's character and going, what if you were to be forced to see that, and how traumatic that would be to kickstart everything. It's because it would be traumatic the other way, but that is just something very simple. And it's, like I said, I don't want to say realistic because we're not going for that all the time, but in that particular shot, that scene you're talking about, it was. And yeah, Billy is just that. Billy doesn't care about anything. His character Hutch is a cowboy, and they own the town. It's a small town, so he just does it. Boone's methodical. He kills somebody, he'll clean it up. And we did a couple of little winks and nods at funny things to show how Hutch was kind of fly by the seat of his pants, shoot from the hip kind of guy.
Yeah.
So,
I thought it was pretty striking how he just shot someone like very, very close to the main road.
yeah.
He doesn't care.
Yeah, he does. Well, I don't know if you've ever lived in Texas, but it's not odd in some towns to hear gunshots. You're just like, hey. You're like, maybe not like that, but yeah, no. There's obviously a little suspension of what's that called? Suspension of disbelief for
sure. Okay, fair enough.
But actually, I thought once we shot that scene you're talking about, where he shoots by the railroad tracks, where you're talking about on the main road.
Yeah.
I look back at it, think about, oh man, if I was Boone, I would have been really mad because of my ear. Because he's like, boom, I would have, so it's only stuff like that you think about when you get a post. You're like, oh man, that could have been
something. Yeah, that could have been a good line. Yeah, that's fair. No, with the Fed, I'm always interested with when people have like unique habits. What is that blue drink that he keeps drinking?
Oh, it was originally Pepto Bismol, and we changed not Midol. That's something else. It starts with an M, but it's for acid indigestion and stuff like that because of what he does in his job and doesn't. So he always has this. He has it with him everywhere, and we had a couple more scenes that were written that we didn't get a chance to shoot, where he would have that in his cup holder and he'd have it like a drink because it's just. He's got such a bad stomach with everything that he does, so he just chugs that stuff.
Sure. Okay, taking a page out of Bad Boys in a way.
Yeah. Actually, you're gonna laugh. The first time I remember seeing that in cinema was Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, and it was Sylvester Stallone.
Oh wow!
He has a Pepto Bismol bottle and starts drinking it when he's talking, and that's the first time I ever saw that. But I can't imagine that what those guys do in real life. They probably wouldn't, because it is pretty bad stuff they see, so it made sense, and so so that's what that is.
Okay, fair
I
enough.
think he really drank it. Yeah, that's Mike Dopa. I don't think he did. No, I don't think he did. But that was Mike Dopa who played the FBI, and he's fantastic. So he's really good. He's been in lots of stuff, lots of Steven Seagal movies, and Deadpool. He was a guard in Deadpool. He's been in things you'd see him and you'd be like, I didn't know this him, but he's fantastic. So
yeah, I was looking at his filmography and I was like, big title. I don't remember him in it, but that's cool. That's awesome. Yeah. I want to ask about the cast. What was it like getting Neal McDonaugh and Michael Cudlitz for the film?
It was really kind of one big, just glorious ball of luck. And the fact that we were, the whole movie was just insane that we even got to do it, because we had all come together to make a previous film, and it was a little bit lower budget. And we showed it to our EP. He loved it. He loved the rough cut. He said, let's do it again. And this would have been December 2019. So we start planning. We get our production offices in downtown Fort Worth, which is close to Dallas. People that don't know, it's DFW. And so we're in between Dallas and Fort Worth in the city, and we're getting our production offices. And then we hear this news report. This would have been end of January. My UPM producer, Austin Williams, who's amazing too as well. He goes, did you hear about that thing going on? And I was like, what thing? What's somebody? He's like, the coronavirus thing. I was like, the corona what? I was like, oh yeah. And both of us were like, well, it'll be all right. So we kept going. And then 3 weeks later, we're shut down. We're in lockdown. And we had an actor, and he was going, I don't know if he was ever on board, but we were talking to their agent. And he said he couldn't do it because of all the stuff going on. But I want to pass it along to Neal McDonaugh. Now, I'm a fan. Okay, one of my top 5 favorite films of all time is Ravenous with Guy Pearce, and Neal's in it. And so, of course, I'm going, there's no way we're getting Neal McDonaugh for this Texas little crime film. Billy Blair, who plays Hutch, was originally cast as Boone. That's who I was going to have play the main guy, because I thought we were going to do this smaller. Okay. And I thought he would be there because I worked with him in the previous film along with Dash Melrose, who's the kid. He worked in my last film as well, so I wrote it for the people I knew. And Neal comes in, and basically we had a big discussion, and Billy was amazing because he's like, I really like Hutch. I'll do Hutch, and Neal can do the main character. And then, Neal comes in to play Boone, and he adds his own little touches to the character, and we did some revisions to the script. And that's when he goes, "Who's going to play Jed?" It was originally who I went to him for. I went to him to play the bad guy. And he said, "My buddy Michael Cudlitz." And I was like, "You mean you were going to get the band of brothers back together?" And I was like, "Oh, this is amazing." And Michael Cudlitz was just a very sweet-natured, generous guy. He read the script, really liked his character, and said, "Let's do it." So we as soon as lockdown was over, 3 days after lockdown was over, we were up and doing a very quick pre-pro, like last just couple of days, because all the pre-production was done pretty much in April and May, and it was done out of our homes. And then we had like 4 or 5 days to get all the props and everything we needed into Corsicana. And that's why we say we're literally probably the first film greenlit by SAG. We're pretty sure we were. And we just took forever to come out with the movie because we were working on another movie after that one. So we were pretty proud of that because it was pretty nuts. But that's how those two gentlemen came on board, and it obviously changed everything. And so, yeah.
Okay, great. Just to connect that a little bit, I don't know how much you can say about it, but I noticed from your filmography that you're working on a film called Boon, co-written with Neal McDonaugh. So is there anything you can tease about that one?
Yeah, I mean, I could say that we have, we're on the set of Redstone. Neal and I got along really well. He got along with everybody, the core group of guys, my producers, my DP, myself. Jokingly said, "Well, in part 2, we can do this." And I was like, "No, that's not going to be a part 2. No, let's not go down that road. It's not, that's not that kind of movie." And he convinced me, and he took over and helped produce. And so I think it's a really fun one. It's a completely different genre though. It's genre. It's just that's all I can say. It's not to say it's completely done differently. All the technical things, color schemes, everything is done differently. And it was shot in Washington. And it's a different genre from crime, pulpy thriller action movie. It's more of a neo-Western. And I can say that because that's been out. So people have talked about that. So
okay, fair enough. Well, hopefully I'll be able to speak with you about that one too. Awesome.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. So I think that was my time. So I wanted to thank you, Derek Presley, writer, director of Redstone, for chatting with me on the Filmcraziest show.
All right. Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.